Season gets underway for real against in Charlotte against NC State on Saturday night. Tim Banks' defense has gotten better year over year, all 3 years that he's been here. Last year they ranked third in the SEC in points allowed, behind only Georgia and Alabama, 20.3 points per game. A lot of people talk about the defense not being good last year. Only Alabama and Georgia were better in the one stat that means most, points. They were fourth in the SEC in rush defense, fourth in the SEC in total defense. They fell to middle of the pack, eighth in pass defense, but they were fourth, tied with Alabama, in red zone TD percentage. It was a good defense last year. Is it going to be better? Is it going to be worse? Let's throw it over to our defenders and Will Overstreet. You're going to handle that discussion with Marlon and Daniel. Go right ahead.
That's right. Thanks, John. So let's talk about that. Do we think the defensive line this year, even though they've got the depth, is going to be a better defensive front than it was last year?
100%. 100%. I think we got good depth. You've got expectations out of guys like James Pierce Jr. You've got guys like Amari Thomas, who's been playing a lot of football, Elijah Simmons. So I would say defensive line-wise is going to be better.
Absolutely, and I think you got big guys on the inside that's going to clog it up, but the rotation this year seems to be that they can get more guys in, and it's going to help having an offense that you only have to play 59 snaps of defense, which they did yesterday. And so you're looking at an average defensive lineman playing 20, 25 snaps. Like, man, that's a perfect game.
Still, the problem for me as a defensive lineman is I don't show up in the stat sheet potentially with only 20 snaps at times, right? I mean, like,
it's going to happen.
There are chances you're not going to show up. All right, so let's talk about that. So then you got your back guys, you got your linebackers and your secondary. Do we think those positions can be better or are going to be better this year?
I think linebacker-wise, we have to be better, right? All we've heard this offseason was how the defense would have been better last year if Ken Pilley wasn't injured. You had Arian Carter, who stepped up as a freshman, got injured late in the season or beginning of the season, whatever it was. But those guys are back healthy now. So I would say linebacker group, we ought to be better. I would say from a defensive back standpoint, one of the things we've got to shore up is who's playing in what position. I saw a lot of rotations yesterday, a couple guys coming in. I mean, early coming in defensive back-wise. I think we've got to shore that up before you go. I would say at least Oklahoma on the road. We need to know who our guys are on the back end.
Absolutely, and that's my one position that I worry about the most. You know, Chattanooga had three guys that had a 22-yard catch, a 19-yard catch, and a 19-yard catch against our secondary. In your running game, your longest run was 10 yards, which isn't a big play. So secondary, I'm worried about. Linebackers, they have to take a step up just because they haven't had the injury bug yet.
The only thing I'm sitting there going is I keep hearing about the linebackers, but I don't see it in the stat sheet or the play. Like, I don't see, like, you know, it's just another body. So I don't see guys making tackles for loss at linebackers or affecting the play and the coverage. So I'm still waiting for that to say, do you have a star back there? Because you keep hearing, yes, this guy's going to be great. But I'm not looking at an Al Wilson right now in any of this. So that's where you still have to take a step. So I think maybe there's some talent there to get better, but it's still a wait and see, I think, with this group right now.
I think I heard on the radio earlier this past week when they referenced Gerard Mayo and Arian Carter, and I got excited. Gerard Mayo was a heck of a player. He was the captain of the defense. You knew he was going to be there. If he can replicate that, that's a big deal. But I think we've got to have that linebacking group, especially with a young secondary, be able to step up and make plays.
Yeah. So anyways, John, that's what we've got so far. We're continuing to look forward, but there's some opportunities for this defense to get better, but there's still a lot of question marks in that back half of the defense.
Excellent, guys. Always my favorite segment of the show when I don't have to do anything. When we come back, it's time to play Will They or Won't They? You remember these? We'll stand our guys out like they're the Temptations, line them up and ask them questions about the Tennessee-NC State game. That is next, and we've still got the Cavaliers line to come. Come on back on the Sports Horse.